While we write, there has just been produced on stage a new play that illustrates this principle. The heroine, the daughter of an old New York family of high social standing and wealth, has a dream of her life in a former incarnation, in which she sees herself torn from the arms of her cave dweller father by the mighty arms of a fierce, savage chief, whose desire is manifested through the physical. She awakens from her dream, and to her horror soon discovers the face of her dream captor on a man who comes into her father's life in New York. This man comes from the West, forceful, resourceful, and desirous, beating down all before him in the game of finance. As of old, he places his foot not on the neck of his enemies, but on the mental plane, this time instead of the physical. The same old desire for power is strong within him. The same old masterfulness manifests itself. This man says, I have never quit. I have never been afraid. The same old desire that flamed up in the savage now manifests in the master of Wall Street, and between the force of its attraction and the coupled and allied force of his will, he repeats the performances of his previous incarnation, but on the plane of mental forces and achievement this time, mind, not muscle, being the instrument through which his desire manifests. We give the above example merely as an illustration of the fact that desire is the motivating force that moves the will into action, and which cause the varied activity of life, men, and things. Desire force is a real power in life and influences not only tracks, influences and compels the other persons and things to swing in toward the center of the desire, sending forth the currents. In the secret of success, desire plays a prominent part. Without a desire for success, there is no success, none. The law of attraction is set into motion by desire. The majority of the principles advanced in this book have been in the nature of positive injunctions. That is, you have been urged to do certain things rather than to not do the opposite or contrary. But here we come to a place in which the advice must be given along the negative lines. We must urge you not to do a certain thing. We allude to that great poison of the mind and will known as fear. We do not allude to physical fear, important though physical courage may be, and as regrettable as physical cowardice may be considered. Still, it is not a part of the purpose of this book to preach against the latter and advise a cultivation of the former quality. You will find much of that elsewhere. Our purpose here is to combat that subtle, insidious enemy of true self expression, which appears in the shape and guise of mental fear, forebodings which may be considered as negative thought, just as the other principles mentioned in this work may be considered as positive thought. Fear thoughts is that condition of the mind in which everything is seen through blue glasses, in which everything seems to bring a sense of the futility of endeavor, the I can't principle of mentality, as contrasted with the I can and I will mental attitude. It is a noxious weed in the mental garden, which tends to kill the valuable plants to be found therein. It is the fly in the ointment, the spider in the cup of the wine of life. So far as we know, the person to use the word fear thought, which has now passed into common use, was Horace Fletcher, the well known writer who coined it to supplant the use of the word worry in a certain sense. He had pointed out that anger, worry were the two great hindrances to a well balanced, advanced, and progressive mentality, but many misunderstood him and urged that to abolish worry meant to cease taking any consideration of the morrow, a lack of common prudence and forethought. And so Fletcher coined the word fear thought to express a phase of his idea of forethought without worry, and he entitled his second book on the subject Happiness as found in forethought minus fear thought, a very happy expression of a very happy idea. Fletcher also was the first to advance the idea that fear was not a thing in itself, but merely an expression of fear thought, a manifestation of the state of mind known as fear thought. He and others who have written on the subject have taught that fear might be abolished by the practice of abolishing fear thought from the mind, by driving it out of the mental chamber. And the best teachers have taught that the best way to drive out fear or any other undesirable mental state was by cultivating the thought of the opposite quality of mind, by compelling the mind to dwell upon the mental picture of the desirable quality, and by the appropriate auto-suggestions. The illustration has often been stated that the way to drive darkness from a room is not to shovel it out, but to throw open the shutters and let the sunlight stream in, and that is the best way to neutralize fear thought. The mental process has aptly been spoken of as vibrations, a figure that has a full warrant in modern science. Then, by raising the vibration to the positive pitch, the negative vibrations may be counteracted. By cultivating the qualities recommended in the other lessons of this book, fear thought may be neutralized. The poison of fear thought is insidious and subtle, but it slowly creeps through the veins until it paralyzes all useful efforts and action, until the heart and brain are affected and find it difficult to throw it off. Fear thought is at the bottom of the majority of failures and going down in life. As long as a man keeps his nerve and confidence in himself, he is able to rise to his feet after each stumble and face the enemy resolutely. But let him feel the effects of fear thought to such an extent that he cannot throw it off, and he will fail to rise and will perish miserable. There is nothing to fear except fear, has well been said. We have spoken elsewhere about the law of attraction, which operates in the direction of attracting to us that which we desire. But there is a reverse side to this. It is a poor rule that will not work both ways. Fear will set into motion the law of attraction just as well as desire. Just as desire draws to one the things he pictures in his mind as the desired thing, so will fear draw to him the pictured in his mind as the thing feared. The thing that I feared hath befallen me, and the reason is very simple, and that apparent contradiction vanishes when we examine the matter. What is the pattern upon which the law of attraction builds under the force of desire? The mental image, of course. And so it is in this case of fear, the person carries about the mental image or haunting picture of the feared thing, and the law of attraction brings it to him just as it brings the desired thing. Did you ever stop to think that fear was the negative pole of desire? The same laws work in both cases. So, avoid fear thought as you would the poisonous draught that you know would cause your blood to become black and thick, and your breathing labored and difficult. It is a vile thing, and you should not rest content until you have compelled it from your mental system. You can get rid of it by desire and will, coupled with the holding of the mental image of fearlessness. Drive it up by cultivating its opposite. Change your polarity. Raise your mental vibrations. Someone has said, there is no devil but fear. Then send that devil back to the place where he properly belongs. For if you entertain him hospitably, he will make sure your heaven a hell in order that he may feel at home. Use the mental big stick on him.